All right, Dakasan. This is my 10 Fat Boy Low. For years, I either went with nothing or I had the detachable windshield. You know, just pop this on and off on the days I didn't want to get beaten in the chest, especially wintertime. But the problems I always had were my hands were exposed behind the windshield, and I tried different things. And when I looked at fairings for this bike, it was basically a shell fairing for under $1,000 or a fairing with radio and everything else for $1,700 to $2,000, whatever. And I just couldn't justify spending that money. And then I saw this on Reckless Motors for about $800 with the radio, with the speakers, with everything, and detachable. So, okay. But once I put it on, I never took it off. But I wanted to show some things about it that I had to deal with. So, pause.
Okay, go.
So again, full radio, everything in it. Obviously, I bought the bags there, but it comes with basically 3 electrical. All right, down here, there's a 3-wire electrical that I can disconnect. So I just pulled it there. The other end is there. And it's just neutral, on, an accessory to run the battery, the radio. It's a 12-volt socket. There's your USB port. The USB port does feed the radio if you want it. On the other side, I put this connector in, and I'll explain that in a moment. But just a simple also just pop off. All right, so those are the only 2 electrical connections. This was an extra that I put on for a reason I'll show in a moment. Okay, to take this on, like I said, it's detachable. The windshield had 2 grommets that it hooked on, and the windshield, you can just push them on and pop it off. It's great. Again, the disadvantage of the windshield, I mean, when it's off, great wind in the face. If you're doing a nice summer day ride, you know, you're gonna get off. But if you're doing prolonged distance or in the winter, you don't want that air beating on your chest. So I got the windshield, but my hands were exposed. So finally found the fairing, and it's detachable. Ironically, once I put it on, I never took it off because I love it so much. But it is detachable, but the headlight is in the way of just pulling it off. The same way the windshield just pulls on and off. So to be able to have detachable, you have the grommets here and one a little higher. You'll see in a moment. I just loosened the screw. All right, so that's completely detached. And the other screw I loosened. All right. So now these are detached, and it's gonna be a little bit of wrestling because I haven't done this in eons. Because like I said, I keep it on there. There we go. And those are just the grommets coming off. Pause. See, I'm just trying to unhook it from the top one there. I'm off on one side. And there it gets detached. Okay, so it has these grommets here. This has a spacer, and the grommet is actually still stuck to the fairing at the bottom. You can see where it's still stuck on the fairing, right in here. But that just goes there, and the windshield can just pop on, pop off. With the fairing off, here are my turn signals, but with the fairing on, it actually not only blocks my hands, but blocks the turn signals. And that's where this came in. I actually wired this for right and left turn signals, and the brake light, it has 4, which one is kind of tail light function. And then the other 2 are the right and left turn signals and brake light. So I actually had to put some turn signal lights. These were actually designed for some older Harley touring in the back, for example, either on the saddlebag or in this region here. On some of the older touring models, they just had a little spot for a turn signal there, so I just picked those up, and I actually had to cut them in there and do it. So my idea was I wanted to put them on either side, but I wanted to be symmetric. So I made a paper mold. Just took some regular blank paper, taped it down. Just kind of found it flat, taped it down, and then I started scrunching it to create a mold. And then, started scrunching in it where I get the scrunch points. Just kind of getting that, and decided where it was going to be, cut the whole of this. So, sorry I'm doing it with my finger right now, but I made it very exact to where, so I just marked where it was going to be, made the hole in the paper, and used that to make the whole of this. So, when I put the paper flat, I had the whole of this measured out. I had the hole in the paper, then I just Dremel that out. Then I took this carefully without disrupting any, hello Louie, without disrupting any of this, and then kind of turned it inside out to kind of mirror over here all of the wrinkles. And just found where it kind of matched up, and I ended up in the same spot. So without having to measure, I kind of did that to find the spots, made the hole, and ran the wires. Pause.
All right, you're on.
All right, so 3 standard windshield screws, just like everybody else. This one has a nut on inside and a screw on the outside. All right, so that's easy. Let's just take the 3 off. It has the screws here. So just taking those off. I really love this thing. Definitely got to get it cleaned up a little bit. Whitner, a little in storage, and I got the new bike, so I take that out to get used to the Ultra, and I've done all the mods to it so far. So, but this is my Armor of God bike. The other one's going to be Christ the King bike. So. And one more, and the clamshell comes apart. And the clamshell is done with 4 screws. All right. See how that comes out, and how I just wired this with the 2 turn signals. All right, actually it was no tail light, it was just right turn, left turn, and ground, and 1 unused. But that's that clamshell. And and to put the Jesus cross on, or the Armor of God cross on, it came with 3M tape, but it's also not flat. So I made very tiny holes and very tiny screws. All right. Very tiny, to anchor this very carefully, you know. But there's my Armor of God cross on the front of my bike. And then this just came with its standard 3 connections. So it has the 3 wires that come out, and it comes out of the fairing right there. The other one I just slid out of the clamshell real tight, so it comes out but it doesn't get pinched. So that's my Reckless Motor fairing. And again, the sound is great on this thing. I really love it. And, you know, just the issues I had to deal with was putting the turn signals in, and then when I wanted to put my Armor of God cross on it. And other than that, it was real simple. And you saw that I had to just detach the bottoms so that I could rock it to pop it out. It just, if you try to get the bottoms in the way you do the windshield, it just doesn't have the clearance with the headlight. All right, so that's easy enough to put back in. All right, I'll show you all put back together once in a moment. You can pause.
All right.
All right, so the Armor of God bike. I showed you my Reckless Motors fairing. I put the turn signals in. All right, and taking on off is fairly uncomplicated just because of the angling. You just got to take down these 2 and then you can wrestle it off. It comes with 3 port electrical, ground, on, and accessory. And then I added the turn signals with ground and right turn, left turn. All right, so just to show you that, put the bike on. Let me see. Switch is not up that I pointed to earlier. The switch is now up and it's turning on. Turn signal. You can see how easily that's visible. This song is for my wife because she's the one I want to meet. And I can hear it. I can hear it on the highway. All right, so Dakasan out showing his, showing his Reckless Motors fairing with audio. I bought it at half price compared to the competitors at the time I bought it, and it was very easy to manage. All right, out.